I'm Jean Marie Herron, Certified Professional Organizer. Welcome to POSSE, productivity and organizing solutions serving everyone in your home office, or virtual. If you want to see my organizing and productivity classes and videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this month's POSSE's Pen. Aging in place doesn't need to be scary, especially if you're decluttered and organized. So my name is Jean Marie Herron, and I'm a certified professional organizer, in case there's anybody new to this platform or myself. And I run a company called POSSE Partners in the Northern Corridor of New Jersey. And we've got some great information and a guest speaker for you today. So currently I am recording the pen, and I'm going to ask that everybody please stay muted until we get to the Q&A section. But if you have fire burning questions, feel free to type it into the chat box, and my assistant Deborah, who's on the call, will hold everything until a little bit later. And we're going to be talking about aging in place, but I also have a guest speaker from the Junk Lugger. So any of you who saw my advertising, if you will, I talked about a gentleman by the name of Mike Gorman. But Mike had a family situation, and we have Gabe Hakem on the call, and I know Gabe just as well, so it'll be fantastic. And he's got a lot of great information to share with us a little bit later, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to age in place quickly and efficiently, give me the Junk Luggers, and I'll get it done in a couple of hours, no joke. All right, and then we'll go through the presentation. I'll tell you about my next pen on November 17th, which is called Bless with Less. We'll open it up to Q&A, and then we will close so you can continue your lunch hour. So why would anybody want to declutter and get organized now if they want to age in place? I'm going to say one word, and that's freedom. If you take the time and do what you need to do in your home now, you can have time on your side, and you can have your home on your side, because what we don't want to have happen in your future is we don't want to turn our haven into a haunted house. And I know I have a Halloween theme, but I've really seen a lot of nightmare situations in my day with people who have waited too long to not only take care of the mechanicals in their home, but to take care of the clutter. And it becomes physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually not fun. In terms of trick-or-treating, it becomes the trick on us. So do it now while you can, if that's what that's what you want to do and you want to stay. I'm going to go through a couple of slides of general areas where I want to give some tips and tricks, in particular in these rooms about aging in place. The first one would be the kitchen. That's the hub of the home. This is our grand central station. This is where we want to do our cooking and our family time. So, you know, as we're aging in place, our diets are probably changing. We're probably eating different. We probably have cabinets that if we open them up, especially the uppers and the lowers, we can probably let go of maybe the ice cream maker or the lobster pot if we're not cooking the same way, if we're not serving big, humongous family dinners. Maybe we've got a couple extra sets of dishes that we don't need anymore. We really want to think, how comfortable are we at bending, and just how far do we want to lift up, because that's your prime real estate in your cabinetry. And we can use things like pull-out shelving, drawer dividers, lazy Susans, but we want to get everything that we use on a daily basis in between where we're comfortable lifting and bending. We don't want anybody stepping on ladders in the kitchen. The other thing I like to do in a kitchen for folks who are aging in place is I like to save one cabinet for things like vitamins, minerals, supplements, because this is where everybody goes for a beverage, and this tends to be easy access area in terms of taking medications. So, and you'll see, even though there's a lot of kids stuff here, a lot of my aging in place clients have grandchildren, and they like to make their homes comfortable for the grandchildren. But, you know, hopefully everybody is back to school, and now would be the time to declutter the grandchildren stuff as well. Or if you have adult children and they haven't come and cleaned out their home yet, there's a lot of that happens. And I know you're on the call where you've got things in your house that somebody else just didn't take yet. So that's a kitchen. Master bedroom, another very important home space to keep decluttered, especially at night. because nighttime becomes tripping hazards and we don't want anybody tripping going to the bathroom. We want to make sure there's a clear pathway to the bathroom. We want to make sure it's lighted well. And as we age, we tend to not sleep as good as we would like. So think about how you'd want to set up your master bedroom for a really tranquil night's sleep. You know, are you the type that likes it dark and you might want room darkening shades? You know, does noise bother you? Do you want a sound machine? Really be cognizant of what you would enjoy in your room so that you could get a good night's sleep. The other thing is on a nightstand, whatever you would like to use for an emergency. So maybe you know, have a phone on the nightstand. Maybe people are sleeping now with Apple Watches in case they have an emergency. Just think about, should you have an emergency in the middle of the night, how easy would it be for you to call for help? Which then brings us to the bathroom. Now, if I was staying in any home for the rest of my life, and I had to put my money somewhere, it would be in the bathroom, because a lot of emergencies happen in the bathroom. So you want to make sure this room is particularly decluttered. You have skid-free surfaces. You know, if, you know, my grandmother took a bath until she was 92. So we put in, you know, the rails in the bathtub, you know, the rails by the toilet, the handrails. But maybe you're a shower person and maybe you want to redo your bathroom for a walk-in shower. And again, in terms of emergencies, if somebody's, you know, in the dark in the middle of the night, what are we doing in terms of lighting and emergency information? So that's the bathroom. Laundry room. This is a basement laundry room. You know, if you can get the laundry on the first floor, hopefully you're doing a lot less laundry than you used to do, but maybe stackables would work well for you on the first floor. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to have people carrying their laundry to and from the basement with those big baskets, because it's a humongous tripping hazard. And, you know, if you're doing that twice a year seasonal bedding thing, maybe taking it out to a commercial laundromat would save you the trouble. And here's where we want to start thinking about vetting great resources. So as we age in place, you know, do we still want to be doing our laundry and our cooking and our cleaning? You can start to vet these kinds of people now so that you're only bringing in trusted folks. But a laundry service is a wonderful kind of service to have. So that is the laundry room. Storage areas. So most of the folks I work with have been in their homes for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And if you're going to stay, you definitely want to go through your closets, your bathroom vanities, your medicine chests, your linen, and really be honest with yourself. You know, how many beds are you really changing in your home at this point? How many sets of sheets do you really need? How many times a year do the grandchildren come over with their sleeping bags and their special pillows? There's always the 80-20 rule, which is we use the same 20% of our stuff 80% of the time. And I think here in Northern New Jersey, it's 90-10. And as we age, we get more and more habitual. So we're probably wearing the same 10% of our clothing 90% of the time. So be ruthless in terms of clearing out your storage vessels at the moment. So that's storage. Home office, I like to say, shred till you're dead. I'm going to go with my Halloween theme. Shred till you're dead. Most home offices and most houses keep way too much paper and information. And if you do one file a day, if you just purge one file a day, at the end of the month, you've done 30 files. I'm also finding that on average, and I've been in this business now for 16 years, if I work on papers and information with my clients, I can get most homes down to a 2-drawer file cabinet. So that's pretty good. So a lot of the paper that we keep is personal choice, not really legal or tax. It's personal choice. So start to declutter your paper. And speaking of paper, holidays are coming. So let's get yourself to give your adult children the gift of organization. Make sure that you can take one file box and call it your hit by the bus box or whatever you want to call it, where you have all of your very, very vital documentations in there should something ever happen to you, your passwords, legal and financial information that you would want somebody to have that you trust. really, this is a tremendous gift that you give to somebody should something happen to you, because what you don't want to have happen is somebody has to search, the entire earth to figure out where your financials are, who you used for what. So this is really, really important. So I call it the gift of organization. All right, I'm going to say a couple sentences about basements and attics. Pretend you don't have them. That's my rule number one, especially if you're aging in place. Pretend you don't have them, because you never know when an Ida is going to come around. And secondly, I coin these spaces the graveyard of indecisions, because every time something on the main, we can't make a decision on the main floor, what happens is it goes into the basement or the attic. So make the decisions now while you can, get the stuff out. So that's basements and attics. And garages, aging in place. You want to be able to get the car or those cars in the garage, and you want to have a clear pathway to either the interior door or the exterior door. So again, vetting out your services, whether, hopefully we're not shoveling much as we're aging in place. So you want to get your plow guys, et cetera, but please make sure that when you park your car, it's not so cluttered that you're going to trip over something getting to the garage door. So another very important space as we get older. And then I want to talk about the outside of the house. For me, the outside of the house is backbreaking. I have a couple of clients who love horticulture, who love gardening. But to me, when I think of tree maintenance, grass cutting, mulching, cleaning out gutters, washing windows, taking care of the roof, I think it is so much work. So what can you possibly do if you're staying to make the outside maintenance easier? Again, vetting a wonderful landscaper, or maybe you do things like use flower pots instead of flower beds. Maybe you ask your landscaper, what, I'm going to be here for a long time. I want to make this as simple as I can on my back. What can I do so that I'm really maintaining the exterior of my home, but it's not really difficult on me? So that is the exterior. So I've gone through rooms I wanted to touch on. Every home is different. Every house is built differently. Every client thinks differently. Every client ages in place differently. But if you wanted to age in place, where would you start? And I always say you want to start with extended memory, which is a list. Old-fashioned, paper and pen, iPad or StenoPad, it doesn't matter what you use. But what you would do is you would start outside your house and you would go through your entire home and write down what you want to do to your home in order to make it age friendly if you're planning on staying. I have something on my website called a MAP, which is a Master Action Property Plan. It's a digital product I created months ago. And the reason I created it was really on getting people's properties ready for market. But I learned after I created it that it's also a fantastic tool for a moving action plan as well as an aging in place. It's just a really simple Excel spreadsheet that you create based on the uniqueness of your home and your rooms, and it gives you an action plan. And then you can rest in peace. All right, now I'm going to quickly go through my physical space organizing methodology. Some of you know it, but if you don't know it or you want a more fleshed out version, I have a video on my website. At the end of the presentation, Deb is going to give you a whole bunch of links, and one of them will be to this video. It's 11 minutes long, but this was an aging in place client. This is her garage. She's a lovely home in Hawthorne, and she's not going anywhere. And she asked me to help her with her garage, and her goal was wasn't interested in putting a car in the garage. Her goal was she wanted her grandchildren to be able to come over, walk into the garage, take out a toy, use the toy, and put it back. All right. So an aging in place video right there on my website, and it's going to go through what I call SPOE. So whether I'm organizing a junk drawer in a kitchen, a 3-bay garage, or an entire house, I use the same methodology. And this is when you want to tackle, for example, that closet up in the right-hand corner, and you say, I don't know what to do first. you start with S. So SSPOE is a scrambled egg version of POSSE, and it stands for sort, select, purge, organize, and equalize. And you follow these steps sequentially in order to organize any cluttered space. So I'm going to use a closet as an example. So you have an empty closet on the top because you would take that closet on the right with all the clothing and accessories, etc., and you would empty it out and you would sort it into categories that make sense to you. Pocketbooks, sweaters, short sleeve, long sleeve, pants, skirts, dresses, ties, shoes, etc. And once you have your items sorted into categories, you get selective. That's your second S. You say, I've got 50 dresses. I'm aging in place. I'm done with the corporate world. I think if I kept 10, that would be good. So you move the 40 dresses aside and you're down to 10. So that's the selection process. And you do this with each category. So you go through each pile. And then you do what I call the purging. And here's where Gabe's going to step in a couple minutes. The purging doesn't necessarily mean garbage. It means now that those 40 dresses aren't staying, the ties, the shoes, the toiletries, the furniture, whatever it is, how do I get it out of my house so I can put my closet back together? It could mean sell, it could mean donate, it could mean recycle, it could mean shred, it could mean give away to others, it could mean, take it to the church, whatever it is. It's where are my non-keepers going? And when you're done sorting, selecting, and purging, you are left with your keep pile. And now is when you can authentically organize. Now is when you can put that closet back together and say, you know what? My dresses are long hangings going here. The short hangings going there. The sweaters are going in the cubbies. The shoes are going on the shoe rack. That's your actual organization. Everything is given a home and you think you're done, but you're not, because you have one more step, and that's equalize. This is what are you going to do on a daily, weekly, seasonal basis to discipline yourself and keep your maintenance up? How are you going to keep everything in harmony? What are you going to do so the closet that you just organized remains intact? Okay, so that's the methodology. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Gabe to talk about all the things that we do and his company does relative to the non-keepers. All right, Gabe.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jean Marie.
You're welcome.
For taking the time to listen to me. I'm one of the owners of the Junk Luggers. You see this great picture here with Jean Marie, my partner Mike. That was a last minute addition. But, I'm really fortunate. I love what I do, and that's for many different reasons. But one of the biggest reasons is, we get to help people do things that they otherwise couldn't do. With regards to this conversation, it's obviously aging in place. But when you get to the point, one thing that Jean Marie said with me that really struck a chord was the graveyard of indecision with basements and attics. That's where we find the most stuff. So what we'll do is we'll come in once you've sort of decided what you want to keep and still has a life, what that 20% is, and what the rest of it, what you decide needs to go. We make it easy for you because our whole mission is not just to take everything right to the dump. We do our best to keep items out of the landfill, whether it's like your old mattresses, we recycle those, anything that's donatable. We work with a multitude of donation partners to donate. And then even just, things you wouldn't think you can donate. We actually work with some charities that help find, homes for things with families in need, people coming into Section 8 housing, that sort of stuff. So our whole goal is, if there's an ability to give an item a second life, we try to do that. And we do that out of our warehouse in Hackensack. We've got a 4,000 square foot warehouse. We've got currently 8 trucks in our fleet and 2 pickup trucks. And what we do is everything, ideally comes back to our warehouse where it's sorted for donations. So it's basically anything that, we can divert from the landfill, whether it's, clothes, household goods, furniture, you name it. We donated some really, really interesting stuff. We got a ton of hand sanitizer, so we've been donating that to the local schools. It's just really interesting what people get rid of. And then, we try to find a way to first donate it. If we can't donate it, we try to recycle it. So some cool stuff that we're able to recycle is mattresses. Every mattress we get doesn't go to the landfill. We store it here and we recycle it. Same thing with like electronics, clothes. If the clothes are, maybe out of someone's house that had pets or smoked, and unfortunately you can't donate that sort of stuff, but we do recycle those items. So, and then let's face it. I mean, if you've lived in a house for 50 years, you're going to have some stuff that is just garbage, and we can take care of that too. So that's, the cool thing about us. And honestly, the great thing about working with someone like Jean Marie, or somebody who's ready to get rid of the stuff, is you've already handled the hard part, which is making the decision. And we're able to come in and actually free up that space for you and make it, make it easier for you to then organize and then, I guess, equalize, and get the space that you really want, and you want to age in. So it's it's a really fun process. It's actually a lot quicker than you think. So this is our truck right here. When you're ready to go, it can normally take, 2 guys we send on that truck less than 2 hours to load up that truck and get the stuff out of your house, out of your customer's house. And then, if there's more, we've got the capacity to handle that too. So it's really interesting. It really is. We some of the interesting things we've removed from people's homes. We removed a Sabrett hot dog cart. I couldn't believe it. We removed a full truckload of hand sanitizer, which was pretty wild. And then you have, going through people's basements, we find things that they've been looking for years. If it's a parents' wedding dresses, or we found somebody's Beatles memorabilia. I guess they were like a groupie and they had a bunch of cool stuff with the band. And people are thrilled when they find that stuff. So, that's a brief, I guess, overview of sort of, how we do what we do. I hope I hit all the nails on the head. And I guess if anybody has any questions, I'll be sticking around at the end if you have time.
I'm going to jump in, and if you look at the picture on the right, I just want to pay particular attention to the luggers part of junk luggers and the eco-friendly junk removal, because I've been saying to Mike and Gabe, I don't know if they remember, we can't call it junk luggers because you guys do so much more than remove junk. But when you have the brawn of his men and the fact that almost nothing ends up in the landfill because everything goes back to the warehouse and the majority of everything is donated or repurposed in some sort of way, it really pulls on my clients' heartstrings because it doesn't feel like they're throwing their house into a junk removal truck. So I think that's very important to know. The other thing is, talk about quick and efficient. And I wasn't kidding when I said that I can get a house ready in a couple of hours, because as long as the client has the decisions made and they know, okay, those contractor supplies, we don't need those anymore. That's going to really help in the garage. And I've got all this extra furniture because there's so much furniture in the house and I just haven't donated it over the years. As long as the decisions are made, these guys can declutter a house within a matter of a couple of hours. Here's actually a picture of a project Abe and I worked on in Nyack. And I was going to let you guys do an SSPOE, but I want to be able to get to Q&A. So I'm just going to show you the before and after picture. But this was just a wonderful apartment. And this person who was aging in place, she had a lot of clutter. She had tremendous amount of books, memorabilia, extra furniture, papers, rugs, etc., that she really didn't need. And it was getting a little bit unsafe for her to move about her apartment. So Gabe and his crew came in, and because I had all the decisions done with my client, we literally removed all the clutter within 2 hours. His guys are incredible. So, just being able to get the rugs up and out was huge because they were a sliding hazard. They took all the extra furniture. They took all the books and trinkets that we didn't need anymore. And then they even helped me rearrange the furniture. So one of the things you can't see too well over on the right, but you'll see a kitchen table and chairs. There was actually a beautiful window there. And the client had this dinette set in her kitchen, which was blocking a doorway. And the guys moved all the furniture around so that now she could actually sit in front of this Hudson River view at this table. And it was all done, again, within a couple of hours. So just a wonderful option to know about when you're aging in place, because if you decide to do it yourself, which you can, of course, sometimes it takes people weeks, maybe months to get their homes ready. So it's just a quicker process. And the last thing I want to mention is, why not get it down now? So if you are aging in place and your home is full of things that you're waiting to give when you pass on like jewelry, antiques, memorabilia. Why not take the walk down history lane now with them and watch the joy on their face when you give them treasures, your treasures, because it's very important. So think about that as well. So next month, we're going to go to Q&A in a second, but next month, my Posse's pen is Blessed with Less, and it's actually going to be a personal tour of my downsize during COVID and how I downsized to my current house, and I have much less, and I'm very happy with much less. So that's next month. Less clutter, more you. If you enjoyed our presentation or anything Posse does, think about signing up for our e-zines, coming onto our social media with us. And all of these presentations are up there on the YouTube channel, and feel free to write a Google review. So this last slide before I come out into our Brady Bunch view is all of Gabe's information here, if you'd like to get in touch with him. And Deb is going to put this in the chat box as well. And here are links if you want. So a link to my map, which I talked about, a link to the video. I also did a different garage video last October, which was just on garages, and then my SSPOE handout. So all of that will be in the chat box, but I want to give everybody a couple minutes now to ask questions. So there we have it.
Jean Marie, also will include those links in a follow-up email if they
Yes.
aren't getting to them in the chat.
That's right. So what happens after the presentation is Deborah, my incredible technician, edits this, and then she sends a follow-up email to everybody who registered, so all those resources will be there as well. So first, I guess, Deb, I'll ask, was there anything in particular in the chat box? And then we can open it up to Q&A. Any questions in the chat box? Because I didn't look.
Marilyn asked about the phone number. It is in the chat box, and it'll be in the follow-up email for junk luggers. Is that your question, Marilyn, for junk luggers?
Okay, very good. All right, anybody else have particular questions about aging in place? Debbie, hi Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thank you to you and Gabe for such a nice presentation, really inspiring. I want to hop off the call and go get to work. My quick question, you said as long as the decisions are made, this is such an emotional kind of situation. How do you must be a bit of a therapist as well. How do you work with people and their families?
Yes, so you're right. I am a bit of a therapist. I don't have a therapy background, but that's what happens. So this is often in the SSPOE methodology, the sorting is easy. It's just putting like with like. The second S, the selecting, that's where all the emotions come in. And it's interesting because people will say, oh, Jean Marie, I want you to come and, we'll declutter my entire house. How long will it take? and I do, I laugh. I say, well, it has everything to do with the speed of your decision-making ability. Because we can go really fast if you can make decisions quickly, or it could be a snail's pace if you pick up this pen and you say, well, my grandmother gave me that pen back in 1982 and, she wrote in this journal. Okay, so you get the idea. So great question. It's individually based, but here's what I would do if you're thinking about it. If it's just your stuff, then obviously it's your permission to make whatever decision you want. If it's a family situation, it might involve asking permission of somebody else, in which case you might want to set aside family time to start to go through things as a family. And I would grab Post-its and pens, and I would just start writing on things. So like, for example, you go into a kitchen cabinet and there's 30 mugs. So again, are you doing this as a family, or, is Debbie allowed to make the decision on 30 mugs. So how many mugs would Debbie be okay with in the kitchen cabinet if she was going to age in place or even eventually move? What's your boundary? What number do you want to get down to? Is it the number of mugs, or is it I want my mugs to be only take up one shelf? So you start to ask yourself all these questions, and if you have an answer and you're not ready to move it yet, you can just label it. So on the inside of your kitchen cabinet, you can put, I've got, and this happened to me the other day, a woman had a 25 set of dishes. She had 25 of everything. And I said, what would be a good number for you to stay here in this apartment? And she went down to 10. Now, 10 might be perfect for her. For somebody else, it might be 4. So it depends. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. All right, next question. It is 1 o'clock, so if people have to jump off, I understand we are officially done. And thank you for coming if you're going to jump off, but I don't mind staying on a little longer if people have burning questions. So I either overwhelmed you or taught you nothing. Carlene.
We have a question for Gabe.
Mhm.
So with junk luggers, so that's part of the reason we haven't given things away or even started to clean out. So here's a good example. So my husband's not working in New York anymore. He has probably 25 suits and tons of shirts and ties. So if we were to call you, like, do we wait? Well, do we do it project by project? Like now we call you about all clothes, and can you tell us where they're going, which organization would need them? And then, so that's 2 questions. And then also in terms of like a tax write-off, does that go to your firm or does that come back to us as the people giving it to you? So how does that work?
How do you charge?
Oh, and how do you
Awesome.
charge? Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Sorry, I'm just writing down some notes here so I can answer all those points. Basically, it's up to you what works best, whether you want to go project by project, or if let's say your attic and your garage need some work. You sort of like Jean Marie said, you have the Post-its or whatever, and you know what's going to go and what's going to stay. It's really up to you. Our minimum charge is for like an item the size of like a washing machine or a bunch of small stuff like that size, and it goes all the way up to a full truckload. There's like 13 different price points in between. So we charge by space in the truck. Sometimes if we're gonna go in and like bag the whole attic because it's all loose stuff that's been thrown up there. Sometimes we have to charge some labor and stuff like that, and that covers the cost of the garbage bags and all that sort of stuff. But most of the time, it's simply space in the truck. I don't want to overwhelm you with that. I just don't want to leave that out.
So let me just stop you for a second. So let's say we did a garage. You can come and you and your crew can actually bag this. I can just show you all these items that are just all over the garage and tell you they all go and you bag them or you pack
Absolutely.
them. And then because most of our stuff we wanted donated because it's good stuff. And
Yep.
we just know that there are families, like you talked about Section 8. We found out about the group in Wyckoff. A lot of people, because of items, they need things. We just don't want anything thrown out unless it's absolutely necessary.
100%. And we'll be 100% honest with you too. Some things people are very attached to, but in reality, for whatever reason, like particle board furniture, most donation centers won't take that stuff. If we can donate that directly to people in need. We did a drop off yesterday to somebody who just got in Section 8, and he was sleeping on an airbed on the floor, and there was nothing else in the apartment. So we had some dishes, we had some pots, pans, we had some forks and knives. We gave him a mattress. We didn't have a box spring, but we had a couch and I think a coffee table. So at least it was making it home. And if we can donate this stuff, that's awesome. Sometimes we can't donate it, and we'll be upfront with you on that. If we do, donate it on your behalf, we'll definitely let you know where it's going, and the tax write-off goes to you. So we'll forward the donation receipt to you in your name. It's up to our customers to determine, obviously, the value of the merchandise. They can work with their accountant. I know there's certain rules regarding, like, you can't claim it was like $10,000, for example. I think you have to get certain things appraised. But yeah, they'll we'll forward you sometimes 2 or 3 donation receipts. Some organizations only take furniture, some don't take furniture. So depending on what you're getting rid of, that sort of helps determine where it's going. And other times it's logistics, because I'll be honest with you, we are a business. So if, we're leaving your house, we're going to another property, and we're going to be passing the Goodwill or the Salvation Army or whoever, we might donate the stuff there versus our normal partner, maybe Habitat for Humanity, just because it worked out well that way, but if you do have a charity that you prefer, you could always let us know and we can do our best to try to get the stuff to them. And we just ask that you work with us on scheduling so that we can make sure the stuff either comes back to our warehouse so we could arrange with them, or we can go right to that facility after you, if that makes sense.
Okay, because that was one of the questions. If we found a place that we knew needed it and wanted it, I didn't know if you could also act like the mover, taking it from here, packing it up and taking it there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The one thing that on like the delivery side of things, a lot of times we work with facilities that have the ability to handle the drop off, so we pull up to a loading dock, we unload, or we do like a curbside delivery. So we would just ask that, we would work with you to make the arrangements, but sometimes we've worked with like churches in the past and they ask you to bring it down the stairway and make it hard right. And then all of a sudden the couch doesn't fit. And then we're late to our next appointment, or it creates a bad experience for somebody else. So those are the situations we would try to just get ahead of. But it's definitely, something we can do. If you know a family in need, we would happily drop it off, curbside for them. We do a lot of stuff like that. Or if you knew like a certain organization, maybe had a tag sale coming up, or they really needed a couch for the break room at a certain school or whatever it was, we're happy to do stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, we're at 1:06. Anybody else? Last minute burning question? Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Remember, if you want to see more organizing and productivity videos created by Posse, hit the subscribe button and you'll be alerted when the next one is ready.